Remember when I gave you guys the clap?
You mean gonorrhea?
No, chlamydia. Isn't it chlamydia?
Oh, is that what the clap is? Mom would always call all STDs VD. She'd be like, it's venereal disease. Like, that's why is everything you say so off-putting.
She said that she was gonna name you Valentina Donnelly, but then it would be VD.
Yeah.
So then she had to go with Dana Valentina.
Well, that's like my mom was going to name me AIDS Herpes Schultz.
But then she was like, oh, it sounds too much like AIDS herpes.
Instead, she named me Earl Robert Schultz the Fourth, which lateral move, honestly.
Yeah.
Again, we always talk about how Robert's name makes it sound like he'd be really rich, but no.
There's also something.
But no.
Also, I go by Robert. My first name is Earl. My dad, his first name is also Earl. He goes by Rob. My grandpa, his first name is also Earl. He goes by Bob. It's like, it's kind of screwed up to keep naming your children the same name and then immediately being like, well, you can't go by your first name. Like, then why'd you give me that one?
It's a really good question. I mean, maybe our son will go by Earl.
I thought you were going to do a girl named Earl.
Well,
Earl the girl.
I like that idea, but I do think, is it disrespectful to tradition?
Why is it disrespectful? You're still passing on the name.
That is very much like the lead of like a YA novel. It's like the girl named Earl Robert Schultz V. It's like, it's a boy's name. I'm the only girl.
Yeah.
And this line of like the family
Gilmore
name.
Girls.
Huh?
Gilmore Girls of naming the dog. Okay, you know what?
Well,
I'm already
it's like,
bored.
but it's like if Gilmore Girls, somewhere in the line of succession, they had a son and they named the son Lorelai too.
Yeah, that's like if they did a Gilmore Girls reboot, that's what it would be.
Lorelai for a boy is a cool name.
Yeah.
I love how you think the Gilmore Girls reboot would be a boy.
For the boys.
That's like the opposite of
For the boys.
the woke
Rory
initiative.
can be a boy's name.
That's true. Okay, are we introducing the podcast?
I feel like it's been happening.
Two sisters talk about dumb shit. We hope you like it. Cause if not, then we'll kill ourselves and the blood will be on your hands. Young old.
All right, well, welcome back to Young Old.
Would you like to talk about poopy to get
No.
things started?
Last week's episode, we started off like doing this whole little joke, and I just came in and I made a poopy joke, and then I made us cut it because I'm like, we can't open the podcast with me talking about poopy.
And it's
Let
like
us
no
know
one
if
made
you
him
want
do
the
that.
lost
No one made me.
footage.
It was an unforced error. I came in so hot with poopy, and then as soon as the podcast stopped recording, I was like, I shouldn't have said that about poopy.
Let us know if you want the director's cut of
Yeah.
episode 4.
Maybe like episode 100 can just be all of our bloopers, and it's just the times that Robert talked about poopy.
Release the poopy cut.
Release the
Release the poopy cut.
How was everyone's Valentine's Day?
Good.
Good.
Good. I wanted to talk about Valentine's Day fails.
What
I wanted
fail?
to talk about specifically how the first time and last time I ever told anyone I had a crush on anyone was in 3rd grade when the guy that I liked found out that I liked him, and he got everyone in my class a Valentine's except me, but it was mandatory to get everyone in your class a Valentine's Day card, and then I told the teacher on him.
I was going to say, like, Lamau, you should have complained, but it's like, of course you did complain.
But that
Obviously
was
you
the
complained.
same. It was the same kid who everyone had a crush on, including my teacher. And I also, I'd also already accused her of being in love with him.
I love that story.
Yeah. So basically,
Because
when
honestly, you got her ass. Like,
when I was
No,
in-
honestly, you did not get her ass in the slightest.
on my side.
I also love how we started with one unhinged Dana story, and then suddenly that led us to the prequel, which is, would you believe it, yet another unhinged Dana
did we
story.
tell that story on here or
No.
no?
I don't think so.
I love that story because, look, I think you got her ass.
All right, let's hold back. Dana, tell the
Wait, have
story.
I really not told this 1 year
No,
old?
tell the
Okay.
story, and then let's hold
Yeah.
commentary until after the narrative.
Okay, so basically when I was in 3rd grade, I was a big fat know-it-all, and I always raised my hand. I always wanted to get called on. I always had the answer, okay? And there was another
Period.
boy in my class who was the boy everyone liked, and he was also smart like me, okay? But I was smarter.
This is the hottest 3rd grader you ever.
Yeah,
Wait,
he
you
had
3rd grade.
Yeah, I
How
was in
old are
3rd
you?
grade. He had surfer
He
hair.
is smoking.
He was smoking for 3rd grade.
No, just in general.
Yes,
from the
he was
3rd grade
6
case-
foot
okay.
5.
My
he
teacher-
could dunk a basketball.
It's Barron Trump.
Okay, so he got called on more than me, and I noticed one day that I was like, wait, I think the teacher's playing favorites, and I was just like such a little, uptight little shithead, and I didn't like the idea that someone was getting called on more than me.
It was not fair.
And so I went home and I complained about it to my mom, and my mom said, "Well, if you're going to make an accusation like that, you need to have data."
Wrong advice.
So, Mom.
Incorrect advice.
To be like, come at this from a scientific standpoint.
And she basically recommended that I started keeping track of
This is unhinged advice.
Running a tally in the back of the room of how often the teacher called on this boy versus Dana.
Also, it's like no wonder you were like this. You were getting unhinged advice from your mother.
Yeah.
What my scientific findings concluded was that I was right, and
She
she
was
was
fucking
calling on him
right.
more than everyone else.
And you brought you made your findings public, and you accused her of having a crush
And
on
I
the boy.
brought my findings to her. I said, "Miss Blank, I won't say her name.
Expose her.
I have something I need to talk to you about." And she's like, "Okay, what?" And I bring her my tally and I show her my data.
Her
and I'm like-
unhinged scrawlings.
And I'm like, I have evidence that you play favorites, and this is your
it's
favorite.
funny. You're kind of editing this story slightly for the pod because when you told us the evidence was that she had a crush on this little boy.
Well, she did have a crush on him.
You accused her of having a crush on a
I
little
did
boy.
accuse
Built
her
up to that.
But I
She
built
built
up to
up
that.
to
First,
that.
I said you call on him more, and then she basically said like I'm allowed to call on whoever I want to call on, and I was like, so you admit that you have a favorite? And she was like, no, and then I was like, I think you have a crush on him.
Wait, you literally were like,
Yeah,
you
I
have a crush
accused her
on
of having
him?
a crush on him.
Honestly,
So she's-
got her ass.
So she's like, so I'm allowed to call on people. I'm allowed to call on whoever I want to call on. And
Yeah.
you're like, so you admit you're a pedophile.
Basically, that's exactly how the conversation went.
Listen, she
That-
wouldn't
yeah.
have been so defensive if it wasn't true.
People always
She
say
actually
that.
wasn't that defensive. She literally was like, "This is crazy that you're doing
She
this."
played it real cool.
Yeah, she did play
Imagining her
cool.
being like, what? That's crazy.
She did not go, "What? That's
not
crazy."
have a crush
Yeah.
on the
No.
dreamy-eyed little
She
boy.
literally just was like, "This is really inappropriate, and I'm allowed to call on
I
who I want
imagine
to
her
call
putting on a pair of sunglasses, lighting a cigarette, and saying, "You think you're the first person who accused me of being a pedophile today?"
I'm picturing her being like, what's there to have a crush on? His server hair, his dreamy eyes,
His
the
cargo
way
shorts that go past his kneecaps, his long sleeve shirts worn under his short sleeve shirts.
She's like drooling.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's whacking off.
Stay out of my way.
Stay out of my way.
No, my take is, look, maybe she called on this boy more often than Dana because she is a pedophile in love with this child.
Yeah.
Or maybe she called on this boy more often than Dana because the boy was paying attention in class and Dana was in the back running an unhinged scientific experiment on her teacher.
Also, for all this lady knows, like, she just made random tallies. Like, but then Dana was saying that she knew that you were a thorough student.
She really,
and that
she knew me.
In
She
third
knew
grade,
me well.
what's thorough? What's being a thorough
taking
student?
tallies of the times people get called on.
Also, again, if you're a teacher, you're allowed to call on whoever you want to call on. It's third grade.
Not
That's
if
what
you have
she
a crush
said.
on one of them.
Yeah.
Period.
But basically, yeah, I accused her of playing favorites. and
Not
she said,
period.
I think Dana gathered the evidence. She got her
Not
ass,
period.
and she didn't like
She did
it.
not get her ass. She grazed her ass at best. No asses were got. No tea was spilled. No tea was spilled.
Ultimately, it was like
If a tea was spilled, the tea was for theory. That's the tea.
my theory was disproved.
You know tea, how tea is short for like truth?
I just didn't think it was a good one. Look, you got her ass.
No,
She was
did not get her
She was like, oh, I've been found out.
She was like, "Guess what? He likes me back."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we're together.
That night, that night, she called the boy's house and she's like, hi, Timmy's mom. Can you put Timmy on the phone?" She puts Timmy on the phone and she's like, "Timmy, they're on to us."
She's like, we need to keep things cool at school. Clearly, we've been going overboard. They can tell.
The next day, she's about to call on Timmy, and then she goes, Dana, do you have this answer? And then her and Timmy lock eyes. It's just a
Yeah.
single tear rolls down their face.
And then he's like, I'm sorry, I just can't keep my feelings about you a secret anymore.
They were Romeo and Juliet, and I was their family.
To be so clear, there's no evidence they had any sort of romantic
No,
relationship.
they most likely
Did not.
didn't.
No, they most
To
likely
our
did not.
knowledge, they
Yes,
didn't.
to our knowledge, they didn't.
But to my knowledge and my findings, he was her favorite.
Period.
Okay.
Try.
I'm just saying.
yeah.
Okay, and then this boy was like, "Oh
The
man,
same boy.
weirdo has a crush on me. I'm not giving her Valentine. I'm not gonna give her any ideas."
This weirdo who
Yeah.
accused the love of my life of being a pedophile.
And then what did she say when you complained?
She like brought him over and she was like,
Oh, no.
Blake. Oh, God,
Oh,
you guys,
no.
you guys literally also this is the story that made it so I literally never told anyone I had a crush on them ever again. I didn't tell him directly. I told like this mean popular girl con.
It got around. It's third
Also, I
grade.
think it was obvious because it's like I was obsessed with him.
Right.
Obviously.
Right? Like it was crazy.
Were you really upset that the teacher was calling on him more than you, or were you upset because she was stealing your man?
That's so real. Maybe
Tea.
subconsciously I could tell she was stealing my man. She was really hot. Like when I call my
That's why they
mom,
were a good
I'll be like,
match.
"Oh, do you remember my third grade teacher?
And
Wasn't
she's
she
gonna be
hot?"
like,
And
"The
my mom's gonna be
hottie?"
like, "Yeah, the
The
hottie,
hottie.
the hottie." She looked like a Barbie.
The hottie from your
Straight up,
experiments.
Margot Robbie would be quaking. Okay, but yeah. So she brought.
You hear that, Margot Robbie? This random pedophile teacher is coming for your ass.
admit
Not a
she's a
pedophile. Not a pedophile.
Are we gonna have to bleep this? Doesn't YouTube hate that word?
Pedophile?
Yeah.
No, YouTube
No, they love
loves
it. How do you think?
loves
How do you
that
think?
word.
How do you think QAnon gets going?
Actually, some of YouTube's
no, but I
most
think they call
popular
it
content
like
is
a lot of.
But do they use
don't
the
say the word
word?
pedophile.
People on TikTok, the TikTokified word is PDF file.
PDF file.
Yeah.
Okay, so start saying PDF file. I've also heard of people
I'm about to
saying
say
pizza
PDF.
lover.
Pizza lover?
Like
Oh,
because
like
of the
pizza
QAnon
day?
pizza key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like PDF file. It's funny.
PDF file.
PDF file. Okay, so anyway, she brings me in this
We
boy
determined this after we've
aside.
said pedophile like 100 times.
I'm maybe we can
You might
bleep
want to
it.
bleep it because I think YouTube hates that word.
Okay, we'll
But then
bleep
bleep
it
can mean
for-
anything. We're like, she was clearly a bleep for this boy.
Well, then we can put, I don't know.
I'm sure there's clips of SVU that go viral all the time.
Where they say pedophile?
Yeah. How do you get the word out? Also, it's like, why would you hate the word unless you were pro it, YouTube?
I mean, they are. Okay.
Okay, well, they hate
whatever.
that
Wait,
for
wait,
sure.
Let me
Okay,
finish
so
my
then-
story.
so
Let's go back to the
she
story.
pulls me and this boy side, so humiliating. And she was like, Blank, Dana said that you didn't get her a Valentine's Day card.
I like what's humiliating. It's
And
like, what
then-
did you think was going to happen?
I don't know. I thought that.
That a Valentine would materialize.
Also, like, not even that. It's like, because it's like, I didn't want the Valentine. I wanted him to like me back. So
Right,
it's like,
so
there
you
was
were
no,
like, "Miss,
there
make
was
him
no
like me
happy
back."
ending, right? Exactly. But she was
Yeah.
like, he's mine.
You really-
She was like, he's
She was
taken,
like,
girl.
you're competing with me.
You really took an
You're not going.
analytical approach to all these problems. Like the boy didn't give you a Valentine. You immediately went, the rules.
I'm trying to make it illegal to like not have a crush on me. Oh
Yeah.
my god. Okay. So she basically is like, whatever. Dana
This boy
said.
has now had 2 meetings with the teacher that have nothing to do with his own
No, he
conduct.
didn't have a meeting with her about the calling.
Well, except
about
for
the
when she was
playing
like, we need to
favorites.
keep our love secret, they can tell.
Yeah, they had a
That was
secret
the
meeting outside the motel.
But I didn't know about.
That was crazy.
Okay.
It could be the PDF motel from SVU.
And I also want you guys. I just want the young Oldenators to know, like, I'm not this person anymore. Like, I've changed. I've
Someone
grown.
from your elementary school commented that you haven't changed.
Oh, that's so true. Danny
Oh,
had a
yeah.
comment on one of her videos where it said, I went to elementary school with you and I thought you were so small and odd.
Good to see things haven't changed. And they were right. They got her ass.
In fact, they really let you off easy. Based on what I'm hearing about your conduct, small and odd is pretty nice.
They
It's
might
pretty
have gone
good.
to a different elementary school. Okay. So she's like, whatever. Dana
Okay.
said you didn't get her Valentine. And he was like, sorry, I forgot. But clearly
Yeah,
he didn't.
right.
No, he didn't forget.
And then it just, and that was it. And then again.
And she was like, oh, sorry, my man's forgot.
Yeah, and it was really interesting because every year at the school, I'd like start the year fresh, and the year would be going okay. And then by the time my birthday rolled around, no one would come to my birthday party. So it was like I'd always like screwed things up for myself by around April of every school year. like I would start off fine.
Things
Yeah.
would have
And
been
then-
better for you if you had a
like-
September birthday.
Yeah, if I could get a fresh start every year, I think more people would have come to all my birthday parties. But it's like really by April, I had really alienated everyone in my class. There was like 20 kids in my class, and I just like alienated them one by one.
It's hard to be unpopular in elementary school, too. It's actually kind of hard because that's kind of pre-social cliques forming in any formal way.
Well, it's also the time when like parents theoretically like make you invite the losers to your birthday party
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But here's the thing about in Palo Alto, this wasn't really a problem for me, but in San Diego, they weren't like nice like that. Like there was a lot of moms that I would say were playing out popular girl
they, like,
fantasies through
don't
their
invite
kids.
the
And so like
losers.
not inviting me was actually a very like chic thing to do for your birthday.
Not invite you to your birthday.
It was like that's like
but
those
Palo
other
Alto,
age.
all the parents are losers, and
Yeah.
it's the
So they
opposite. Where they're like,
understand
you have to invite the loser because I
loser.
wasn't invited.
So in Palo Alto, I definitely fared better until middle school when, like, in middle school, parents understand, like, I can't make my kid invite someone they don't want to.
Palo Alto, it's ruled by a class of losers who grew up to be millionaires.
Well, it's definition Revenge of the Nerds.
Yeah.
Is Palo Alto. Period. Yeah.
I love how when you tell every San Diego story, you're now the parents are playing social mind games to exclude you. You're always beefing with adults.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
that's
we're
why the
always
kids in your
with
class
adults.
didn't like you. It's because you're always
Well,
you're
try to
always
go over their
creating
head.
conflict with their parents.
That's true.
Imagine finding out that another kid in your third grade class hated your mom. That'd be crazy.
The fact that I had rivalries with their parents probably didn't bode well for me, like, being friends with them.
Yeah.
Okay, should we call my mom? Speaking of, because it's 4:30.
Speaking of call your mom, we're gonna call Dana and Eve's mom.
We're gonna check in with Adita Donnelly
and ask
really
her about the
quickly.
hot teacher.
Okay.
And she's like, oh, the one with the hunky voice? The one with the hunky BS?
the hunky younger man. Okay.
Also, having a younger man is so in these days.
Well,
baby
it's,
girl.
baby girl, and Bridget Jones.
Well, Bridget Jones, it's crazy, man. We watched the Bridget Jones sequel on Peacock, and she's dating like a 20-year-old. And again, I saw an interview with the actor where I think all the actors have echoed this, where they go, you know, you see a lot of older guys dating young women in movies, and we're gonna have a young man dating an older woman. It's like that doesn't make it like progressive. Like you're not like doing anything heroic.
Well, we were saying it's like it's creepy when guys do it. Like that doesn't mean like I hate when women see men doing something bad and they're like, why can't women be bad?
It's like,
also,
women can be creepy too. It's like, okay.
That teacher gets called
Like,
out
that's
for being a
not
pedophile, and she's like,
feminism.
"Oh, but when a male teacher fucks a child,
It's super
it's
cool.
super good."
It's like,
Nope,
no, nobody
not
thought
at
that
all.
was cool.
Okay, we're calling mom.
On that note, now when we call your mom, let me do all the talking.
Such a tired fucking bit.
Hi, mom. You're on the pod.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Hi,
How
Adita.
are you?
Adita, Dana was just telling the story about how in elementary school, she noticed that the teacher was calling on a boy in her class more often than Dana. And so you told her to start recording the data so that when she went to the teacher, she had hard evidence that the teacher was playing favorites. Do you remember this story?
You know what? I wouldn't put it past me. It sounds legit. It sounds legit.
Like that's advice that you would give.
Yeah, I think so.
And then I was telling them, like, okay, confirm or deny, my third grade teacher was a hottie.
Oh, this was Miss.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bleep,
We're
bleep.
bleeping that.
She looked like a very tall Barbie doll.
Oh,
Whoa!
same description Dana gave.
A double Barbie description.
She was you know what? All the teachers were pretty attractive.
Really?
Yeah.
Was this in San Diego or Palo Alto?
Yeah, this was in San Diego.
Oh, because I was like,
Yeah, this was in San Diego.
it's like I had the same teachers.
Connor's first grade teacher was, she was this cute little blonde. Yeah, there were a lot of attractive females there. Yeah, Dina had a very attractive teacher. Yeah.
Okay, so today we wanted to talk about some of your advice and your sayings. Specifically, Eve was saying,
Oh, okay. So you told me that if I ever had a job where a boss was being a male boss, presumably, I guess it would work on a female also, but if a boss was being rude to me, that I should just threaten to sue them for sexual harassment.
You know what? I don't advise that at all.
Okay, well, you did. There was a time where
I probably was kidding. I have a lot
know.
of bits.
So you always, whenever I bring something up that you said, you go, "I was kidding," and I'm like, I don't know about that.
I did have a lot of bits. I don't know what I said then, but I can't recommend that. I wouldn't do that.
Why?
Why? Just like no matter what they did, you're like, I'm going to sue you for sexual harassment.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't do that.
But I thought it was really solid advice. I was like, damn, Gotti.
No, that's not one of my advices.
But it's like,
Are you sure that wasn't a show you were watching?
I'm positive.
Adita, we just cut the cameras and turned off the mics. Now do you remember saying that?
Well, I never really
off the
had a
record.
boss, so
No.
Eve said checkmate. How about this
Checkmate.
move?
How about no boss?
I will simply never have a boss.
That's probably better for you, Eve.
Yay. Okay, some other bits. You said that in college your nickname was Chevron.
No, that was...
No, I know. Obviously, that one was. That's what I knew was a joke.
wait, what's the joke?
Okay.
The joke is they call her Chevron because she would toot when she walked by.
That was totally. I did bits before I knew they were bits. Okay.
You have great bits.
Yeah, you have really good
Whenever
bits.
Dana says a bit, I'm like, that's quality.
Well, Eve and I were talking about you want first bite the other day.
You know he's a keeper if he'll give you the last bite, right, of a burger.
Yeah.
Which sounds awful to me. A last bite of a burger.
You get the last bite, and you're like, "Can I have that bite?" And if he gives you the last bite, you know he loves you. And then my other joke was the picking your nose thing.
Yeah, so if you want first bite is you fold your finger, you put your knuckle to your nose like your finger is knuckle to your nose, okay? And then you kind of swirl it around, you know? And then you take it out and then you point your finger at
You say you
them.
want a bite.
And then you say,
Yeah,
you
that's
want
a
first
joke.
bite?
That's so
And
good.
he
joke.
laughs, he's the one.
Yeah, we know it's a joke. Yeah, we know that's a
We
joke.
know this is a joke.
We know
okay?
it's a joke.
I never did this to anybody.
Sure.
And here in the pod is where we'll roll all the footage we've secretly recorded of you doing the first bite bit to dozens of people in your community.
Dozens in the community. Okay, there's also We Were Lovers once, which is when
I love this.
Okay. Yeah. So what happened there was when you have your third child, you're kind of bored silly, right? You've done this 3 times already. And we're just walking to school, and a neighborhood person is walking in the other direction. He's this older man. And Eve's about 5. And he says hi, and I say hi. And Eve is like, "Who's that?" Because she's like new to walking to school, and she doesn't realize the interaction that people just say hi to each other, right? Even if they don't know each other, you say hi when you're just neighbors, right? You live in the same place. And I said hi, and she just looks at me like, "Who's that?" And I was just probably bored silly because here I am yet again walking
some
another
dumbass
kid
kid
to
to
school
school.
for another like 18 years or whatever.
She walked me to
And-
school for 18 years.
Well, I drove you to school.
That's
and then
tea.
I drove you to school, right? Until
That's
you
tea.
didn't go to school anymore.
No wonder she was
Just
cool with you
came
dropping
in-
out of high school. She was kind of walking you there every day.
I like sighed, and I'm like, we were lovers once. And Eve just looks at me like what? And I explained to her that, people just say hi, because they're just neighbors, and people just say hi to each other like that. But then every time someone else would pass by and they'd say hi, again, somebody probably I wouldn't know. And whether it was like male, female, whatever their age, anytime
Anyone.
she would ask, anyone. Anytime she would ask, "Well, who is that?" And I would just say, "Oh, we were lovers once."
Great bit.
And that's an all-timer.
That's a great
All-timer.
bit.
Yeah, we love that one. Did you have any sayings that you thought of?
So one of the things I always used to say is I'm low maintenance. Remember, I'm low maintenance. And then I came up with I'm low maintenance, but I have high upfront costs.
Yeah.
That's very funny.
And then Joel, the other day, his place said, "I really need to clean this floor." And right away I said, "You want me to get a housekeeper for that?" And he goes, "You're low maintenance because you get everybody else to do your maintenance."
That's a good one.
Well, you're just an expert delegator like me.
Apparently that's why I'm low maintenance.
Because everyone else is doing the maintenance.
Maintenance, but that does involve high upfront costs. I'm not sure what's a bit and what's a phrase, but I would tell Eve if I would want Eve to do something like brush her hair, and I say brush your hair, or someone will think your mother doesn't love you.
And I took
Oh.
that to heart big
Didn't
time.
you tell
And
someone
then-
in their
and then-
class?
Yeah.
Eve actually bullied someone using that.
Well, okay, so you would tell me about that about a lot of things. Like, my friend would always get candy in her lunchbox, and I was
and I say,
jealous.
that's because their mother doesn't love
Right,
them.
I would go, why does she get candy in her lunchbox? And you would say, because her mother doesn't love her, right? She wants her to get cavities, she wants her to be
Right.
ugly, etc., etc.
Right, exactly.
And so then I'm jealous of this girl, so I'm like, ugh, the only reason you have candy in your lunchbox is because your mom doesn't love you.
What did she say?
And I don't remember her. She was probably like, "What the hell?" and then I told you this, and then you were like, "No, you can't tell people that." And I'm like, "That's what you said."
The thing is, I didn't realize children took things so literally, right?
I really did. And
And then that girl had a nest in her hair.
Yeah, the
and she was
unbrushed
my
hair.
friend's daughter. And you and I look at each other and I'm like, Eve, I guarantee you her mother loves her.
And I'm
I
like,
just need that stuff.
I'm like, there's a whole lot of contradicting going on here because I see some unbrushed hair, and you're telling me her mom loves her, and things are not adding up.
This is one phrase that you probably don't know I said, but this is what I would say to Dad when he got a little tipsy. I'd say, just because you're drunk doesn't mean I'm horny. Because
Oh, jeez. Okay, God.
Adita, I don't get it. Adita, I don't know what that means.
most guys don't, Robert. Most guys don't.
I have another one.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of these happen on the walk to school, probably because, again,
Right, yes.
you're bored as hell.
The least favorite part of your day.
I picked up like a roly-poly and then I walked like a few feet and then I put it back down. And then you made up this story about how like the roly-poly is talking to his grandchildren and he's like saying like this scary giant picked me up and took me thousands of miles away from my home. And it took me all my whole life to find my way back to you guys. And then that like things like that made me so sad.
I know. It was so easy to make Eve sad. I didn't know such a sensitive child, you know. There was this insurance commercial where some woman was
God, I love
about
this.
to cry because she, you know, her insurance was so high that she couldn't afford stilettos. And when she got to the part about not affording stilettos, she was like on the verge of tears. And
Because I didn't know what stilettos were. I thought they were an
Eve was
essential.
like, she can't even afford stilettos.
I thought that was like a necessity to live. I didn't know what stilettos
Yeah.
were.
I
And
get
now Eve
that.
watches TV, and if there's any storyline about someone being short of money, she's
I
like,
do not get
boring.
it. Well, especially if it's a supernatural show. I'm like, guys, nobody cares about the finances when there's magic happening.
I have a few advice.
Okay, go ahead.
I love that.
Oh, love it.
Never volunteer your partner. You do that and they get mad. I have a few that my mom, I think, gave me. She says, don't expect romance, make it.
So true.
Love it.
So true.
Right. And then she also told me when she noticed I wasn't making breakfast for Dad, and she's like, you don't make breakfast? You need to take care of your husband or someone else will.
Whoa.
That's something that the girlies on TikTok, like
Well,
the
yeah, they say
pictures on
if you
TikTok.
don't take care of your man, another woman will.
will.
Yeah.
So that explains why Dana makes me breakfast every morning.
Yeah, Robert.
A full breakfast. I never knew why Dana always did that.
And back to like, I was getting bored reading you guys' stories when I was reading The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe for the upteenth time. This doesn't come out in the movies, but there's a Mr. Beaver who takes the kids on a journey to find the Ice Queen or the Winter Queen or whoever she was. And at one point, Santa comes along and Santa gives everybody a gift. Like he gives Lucy and whatever the other names of the Edwin a gift, and then Mr. Beaver doesn't get a gift, and so I noticed this in the story, and so
She's like, better give Mr. Beaver a gift.
I always like to use to ad lib stories, and you guys would be angry sometimes.
Well, because I
ad-libbed.
would insist
I
that
ad-libbed.
wasn't what it said. I feel like there's no
And I-
way it says that.
And so I'm like, so Mr. Santa said to Mr. Beaver, when you get home, there will be a younger and prettier Mrs. Beaver.
Waiting for you at home. And I was like, there's
You
no
know,
way.
Jeff and I looked at each other and we're like, oh, she's going to forget this. But it was like the only thing that you kept remembering. and Jeff and I would be like, one day she's going to realize this is really funny.
It is really
And it
funny.
is really funny.
I think I thought it was funny at the time. Like, I
Yeah.
remember cracking up at that.
Dana's told that story multiple times, and I do
Yeah.
crack up.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
Good
And
bit.
you thought I wouldn't remember, but it became a core memory,
Yeah.
ultimately.
Younger, prettier Mrs. Bieber.
Younger, pretty Mrs. Bieber.
Yeah.
But you did
Yeah.
it so often that even when you were reading the real story, I would still accuse you of making shit up. And then
Well,
I would
that's
insist
true.
on looking at it myself to make sure.
Okay, well, you tell me when you have your third child if
And-
you start
okay.
making stuff up. Maybe you'll start making stuff up before then. Oh, and another bit I would do is we'd be at the store and you guys would want something, right? And I would make sure someone's listening and I would say, oh, honey, those are for nice children.
Oh.
Anything else?
3 points of contact. A friend of mine, Star. You make great communication when you have 3 points of contact. If I'm talking to you, I should touch you. I should talk. I should look in your eyes. And then when I said, hey, I told you guys, and you'd say to me, did we have 3 points of contact?
Period.
And if I couldn't remember, I'm like, okay, you guys got to pass.
Early on, when Dana and I started dating, she would always say that when I would reference something that I told her, but she didn't remember.
Yeah.
She would say 3 points of contact. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Adina didn't brief, your mom didn't brief me.
Like, wait, you didn't go to Adidas school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys think that everybody did that and everybody knew that and that was standard?
No, but I did know that it was a good way to explain why you you weren't listening to someone.
Period.
Yeah, Dana will ignore a lot of stuff on a technicality. You only had 2 points of contact on that one.
Going back to Don't Expect Romance, Make It, I do disregard all Hallmark holidays
Yes.
because, there's 65 days a year to show someone.
365.
On a
What did I say?
65-day
300
calendar.
off.
And it's like, you're going to, throw a fuss and ruin your relationship over some one random day that some marketing campaign came up with, That's not fair to either of you. So in a relationship, I think you should, have affection every day and then discuss your expectations for each other. Like if you really do expect something on Valentine's Day, that's cool. But remember, your partner's not a mind reader and you do need to tell them.
When Dana and I were driving around before Valentine's Day, we'd be driving around and I'd hear Dana under her breath saying something. And I'd be like, what is that? And then I'd listen closer and she was going, chocolates, flowers, chocolates,
I was trying to
flowers.
do subliminal programming.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
a good one.
I mean,
Subliminal
I don't know how
messaging.
subliminal.
Or you could just say, this is why I'd expect on Valentine's Day, chocolates and flowers. Some people don't want that, right? Like I don't want flowers, but Joel loves chocolates. And so we buy discount chocolates the day after.
It's beautiful.
That is beautiful.
He doesn't expect it, but it's fun. It's kind of fun to, get those chocolates 50% off.
What's fun is the deal.
And then the other big thing was I have a system of looking for stuff because, Dana would always lose stuff. She could never find it.
All right.
Eve was
And then she would
boring.
never-
Dana would always lose stuff.
And then she would never believe this method. And the moment she did it, she would find her thing, and it worked like almost 100%.
It does work.
It does
I will
work.
say this works.
What's the
but
method?
yes,
So anyway, I have put an addition to it, but it was based on this woman named Marilyn Vos Savant, and she had this article in a magazine called Parade when there were newspapers back in the day.
Well, because she had high IQ. That was her claim to fame.
Yeah, her thing was she had the highest IQ.
Yeah.
Her
Same.
thing was take whatever you're looking for. Like if it's an iPhone, take something of a similar color and a similar shape and start walking around with it. And sure enough, it'll come up to you where you put it. It's a really good way to jog your memory. But before you even get there, I realized this is why a lot of people can't find things. The first is it's dark and they don't turn on the light, or it's nighttime and they're looking. And so you can't see something in the dark. So the first thing is turn on the light or wait till daytime. Put on your glasses if you wear them. A lot of times people are looking for their glasses, and that's why they have a hard time finding them.
Oh.
And then the other reason people can't find it is because it's under something. You put something on top of it. And so that's why you can't find it. So the next thing is to start lifting things up and looking under something. And finally, after that, then you place something in your hand. And then if that doesn't work, by sheer coincidence or not, the moment you go and buy it again, you come home and you remember where it is.
That always happens.
That always
to me.
happens.
That saves you guys a lot of time.
Now I just got to find
To use that method.
a handgun-shaped object. So I remember where I put my gun.
All right. Well, thank you so
Joking.
much for your advice, Mom.
Adita, real quick before you go, can you just go ahead and rank your children from favorite to least favorite?
Well, Connor is my favorite boy.
Oh, good save. Thank you, Adita.
All right.
All right. We love you. Talk to you soon, Mom. Bye.
Bye. Dana's her favorite doctor.
Eve is her favorite boring toddler.
I was the most boring toddler.
It's so
according
funny
to
that she
her.
basically said that she had to develop a sense of humor to hang out with you.
Yeah,
'Cause
she
you're
had
so
a riff.
fucking boring.
She had a riff.
Bruh.
that's-
I just wanted her to stick to the script.
Being
She was
said-
always going off script.
Being said, if you've been around Eve in the morning, I get it. Eve brings nothing to the table
Yeah,
before like
that's
1
so
p.m.
real.
You'll be like, good morning, and Eve will look like, she'll look at you. She'll mute.
Yeah. She gives you nothing.
Gives you nothing.
in the morning.
I'm like the quirky t-shirts trying to be like, I'm not a morning person.
No, you are,
Don't
yeah.
talk to me before my but like I'm really about that life. It's
Don't
not
talk to her
quirky
before her
for
four-course
me.
breakfast and
4 p.m.
latte at 4 p.m.
Don't talk to me.
Don't do it. Don't do it. I got her a shirt that says not a morning person.
Yeah.
'Cause she's not a fucking morning person.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting that we're all just gonna never circle back to just because you're drunk doesn't mean I'm horny?
I
not interesting.
Dude,
that one.
dude, I mean, it reminds me of all those memes that are like your grandparents' love story, and
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
basically like, oh, your grandpa was a stalker.
Yeah.
The way I
predator.
was not expecting that at all.
Well, I was expecting at least one of them to throw me
like, what?
to throw me a little bit.
I didn't think that was coming, and then it came out, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
nope,
You
no.
gotta go. Any other Sams?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to. I don't know what that means. I'm gonna have to Google what that means.
Robert will have to Google it.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
Team.
I'm gonna have to do my own research on that one.
Well, there's another Valentine story that we have to touch on, and that's Biter's Valentine
Dude.
story. He has a new lady in his life.
So Biter does have a new Thickiana. And
her name is Orangina.
her name is Orangina. And
I'm
if you're
sitting
on audio
her right
only,
now,
that is Robert's armchair pillow that he uses. We recently discovered that she and Biter had been having an affair.
the thing is, this Biter really has a type. Okay, and that type.
Robert hates this because Robert's Orangina's protective father.
Right,
No.
right.
It's
Okay.
because Biter. That's the pillow I sleep on. Like I put my face in it, and even Dana knowingly witnessed Biter humping this pillow aggressively for a long time, and then helped conceal it from me. I would notice them giggling when I walked into a room, and I'd be like, "What are you guys giggling about?" And normally they would tell me, but they literally would not tell me. And this went on periodically for a significant amount of time. And then one day, I caught Biter humping my pillow aggressively, the one where I put my face on. This is not an ornamental pillow. I sleep on it. And they knew about it, and they were concealing it from me and giggling about it.
We're romantics.
They were trying to protect their love.
Like anyway, but he like loves her. So they've been friends for a while.
Right, so his type is armchair pillows.
Yes.
He loves a baddie who is thick in the middle, short
Short
little
arms,
arms,
no
no legs, no
legs.
head.
Yeah.
Okay, that's his
That's his
ideal
type.
woman.
Turnoffs. Head.
Okay, and he's had many armchair pillow girlfriends before. They all end in shreds with piss on them, dare I say.
And God knows what else.
And they go in the trash. Okay, a lot of his girlfriends they
End
get
up in the
discarded
trash.
into the garbage
Well, Dana
can.
has had a number of armchair pillows, and she has gone through many of them because Biter has always started to hump them, and then Dana thinks it's cute that Biter is humping her pillow. So eventually, Dana will just grab the pillow by the hair and throw it out into the hallway and let Biter hump it until he's done with it, and then he pisses on it and they throw it out. I have had the same armchair pillow for years.
Which is why they've been friends first, because
Yes.
he's been eyeing her for a long time.
They've gotten to know each other on a more emotional level before it
her
became
protective
physical.
father has kept them
No.
from ever becoming intimate, right? But then eventually they're like, oh, we love each other so much, and she's like, I needed to make sure you were serious and that I wasn't like another one of your girls who would get discarded.
But he did try to have a very special Valentine's Day with her, and we know this because we witnessed him trying to drag her off of the bed
He
and
likes
down
them on
onto
the
the
floor.
floor.
He likes them on the floor where
to
there's
have
more
his ladies on the
stability.
floor,
he
so
likes
he can
them
really
on the floor.
mount and hump. And they were kind of doing a threesome thing with Mauricio yesterday.
Which is the snake, the sequin snake.
Yeah, so it was definitely an eventful Valentine's, but
I'm like, Biter, why are you dragging my pillow onto the floor to hump it? And he's like, you can't expect romance. You gotta
make it.
he understood that.
And the only lady that's ever broken the mold of armchair pillow baddies was a large teddy bear named Wild Thing.
that
Her
I got
name-
for Robert on our first Valentine's together.
Oh, you got it for him, Lamau.
Yeah.
So it's always
Yeah.
Robert's items.
Yeah,
And in your-
I
yeah, in your
bought
head, you don't
Wild
remember
Thing
that because it became,
for Robert.
a
But
humping
Wild Thing
object.
was she was like a pink tiger bear.
Yeah, and she had a
little
heart,
heart.
that she held,
Yeah.
and it said Wild Thing on the heart. So her name obviously was Wild,
Wild
Thing.
Thing.
And they had a steamy affair. Okay, she was often face down, ass up in the living room. Okay,
These are the type of bits even Dana do as they just watch Biter
worried
just like
we're severely
hump a
alienating our
pillow.
audience, but also I'm just like,
You're
this is
alienating
what-
one member of your
They
audience.
love it. The dog owners will get
Yeah.
it.
All the comments are gonna be like, more on the
They love
humping.
it. They love it. And, she ended the same fate as the others. But
yeah.
Pissed on and in the garbage.
And her stuffing ripped out of her.
Right. Okay. But this Valentine's, there was a new lady brought home.
Robert got this little bear for me that says "Kiss Me" on it, so she's Miss Kiss.
She's Miss
That's we named
Kiss.
her.
And And we were like, oh my God, she's like wild thing.
She's like a tiny
holding,
little
she's
wild
a bear
thing.
holding a heart. And we were like, what if Biter's like, oh, like she reminds me of my ex. But she's very small. She's not his
Yeah.
usual type. So we didn't
Not
think
at all.
anything would come of it.
No.
And he had just had his Valentine's Day with Orangina, right?
And they had been getting it on periodically
Right.
throughout the
And
day.
so then she puts down Miss Kiss and immediately Biter starts sniffing. He's like,
immediately, I put down Miss Kiss and Biter is all over her.
he's like, who is this?
He literally could sense there was a new girl in town that reminded him of his ex, and he was interested.
And Orangina is over staring at them like, oh,
I will say,
can't
right after
believe
you
this.
commented this, at the end of the night when Biter was beginning to leave, he did stop, take a couple steps back, and give one last glance at this little teddy bear, as if to say, "We'll talk later."
I'll be seeing
Yeah.
you.
We'll talk
But
later.
it's just so offensive because after him and Orangina spent the day together, you know, and they've like had
Right.
such
And
their
she waited.
love has
She
been
made sure
building.
that they waited to be
Yeah.
intimate, to make sure his intentions were pure.
But it seems
he's
like you can't-
At the end of the day,
Player's gonna play.
He's a player.
Well, Biter will come in all hopped up from his walk, and Orangina will try to be like, "Hey, just because you're drunk doesn't mean I'm horny."
Anyway,
Yeah, anyway. All this is to say that Biter's been humping my pillow a lot.
They're in love. And he's like, I'll talk to you, Dad. That's our voice for Biter, by the way.
I'll
He's
talk
like,
to you,
yeah,
Dad.
obviously.
He's a Casanova. He's a
Yeah.
playboy.
And Dana and Eve are very much like his boy moms.
we are, and
Yeah.
we cover up his
No
murders.
matter how many pillows get pissed on, ripped open, and humped.
It's
and we
not our
go,
boys'
and we
fault.
say they were asking,
They were
for,
asking
it.
for it.
If they didn't want to be humped, pissed on, and murdered, why did they have no legs and head?
Exactly, they know that's his type, and that's our social circle.
And that's what happens when you go years without having friends. Is this is real to
and
you.
Yesterday, I was so gagged by the interactions. I was going, the tea is piping, the tea is piping, and it's like we're talking about a dog and stuffed animals.
Well, one stuffed animal, one stuffed pillow.
That is what happens when you go recluse mode. It's just
Yeah.
all three of us in the corner looking at a puppy and 5 stuffed animals. Like, look at them. Like it's like an engrossing drama. Like it's Shakespeare.
Yeah, it is. Well, it reminds me of on TikTok, you know, the house with like the little mouse.
Oh, I don't
Okay,
actually.
Wait. Sylvanian
Yes,
drama?
yes, Sylvanian drama, yes. It's like that's us at home with Biter and
That is.
animals.
That's literally us. But the tea was piping.
The tea was piping. There was drama happening. There was a scorned lover and a new potential love interest. And it was crazy.
No, the T was not piping. All right. If the T was piping, then T must have been short for try again. That's not the greatest T I've ever heard.
You need to stop this whole.
I'm gonna do
T
it
is
at
for.
minimum 75 more times.
All right.
And so yesterday for Valentine's, Dana and I had booked like a Valentine's Day res, like a very nice, cool restaurant. Prefix menu though. Prefix menu.
Prefix
a lot of
menus
those
are-
prefix
are
menus are pretty
bullshars.
broken to me. They
Yeah.
never know their best
Whoa.
items.
Also,
Yeah.
Every restaurant
Try fixing
does it,
some of
by
these
the-
in post.
Like, no one doesn't have a Valentine's prefix.
Because they know they've got you. They know they've got you. They know that you're under so much pressure to like book, and like they know they don't need to offer you a full menu.
it's just so crazy to me though, because I'm like, if it's a special occasion and this is my favorite restaurant, I'm gonna have specific things I want to get from
If
this
anything,
restaurant.
expand the menu.
Yeah,
Throw a few
that's so
curveballs
real.
in there.
You should have a bigger menu on Valentine's Day. There should be less restrictions.
Well, at my restaurant that I went to, it was a prefix menu, and they don't serve the normal menu. Oysters were not on the menu. I love oysters. They look over at this family. They're eating oysters. I'm like, what menu did they get? Who are these people?
Maybe
But
it's because
I was deeply confused.
maybe it's because the family isn't there for Valentine's Day because they're.
But if you book any reservation, it says Valentine's prefix menu. Like, there's no.
And
They
Dana,
must
can you
be
do me a
the
favor?
owner.
Can you just keep climbing
Climbing
higher
back,
and higher until
yeah.
you're hanging
And
from
I'll
the
keep leaning
rafters?
lower and lower.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do a George of the Jungle thing.
Okay,
I'm
nice.
trying
that'd
to
actually be
celebrate
pretty.
it.
That'd be pretty. That'd be a great thumbnail.
That would be awesome, wouldn't it? I just know I would break it.
But I was
Anywho.
like, literally, who are these people?
You were also saying, wasn't there a cocktail that was like specifically for lovers?
No, there
there
was
was
a
a
steak. And it was on the menu. It says for true lovers, and I was saying they make you prove it. They make you prove it.
Either tape or you do it live.
Right, and I
Oh yeah, I was gonna say it's Girl Scout cookie season.
and
I
Dana
was-
is prowling for
And
the kitties.
I am out here looking for little girls on every corner, at every grocery store. I'm trying to find me some 10-year-olds who are selling their goodies.
As one does. that time of year.
As one does. But I was telling Robert and Eve that one time I had just gotten back from the beach and I was wearing a swimsuit top.
For the
and
FBI, this is
for
not
the
real.
FBI, I'm just kidding.
This is not a real story.
For the FBI, I'm getting everything.
Oh my god.
I've been entrenched deep behind enemy lines.
Bruh.
Well, Robert is a spy. Robert's
I'm
spying
an
on me.
undercover
He's my
cop.
handler, obviously.
Yeah. I'm like, say that bit about hunting Girl Scouts right into my wire, please.
Why do you need a wire? We're on mics.
It's like I already went through so much trouble in the van to be put into my wire.
Dude, every morning you wake up and you have to go outside and get wired.
It'd be so easy to run a sting operation on like anyone like born like 1990 or after because you wouldn't need to record any conversation because they're just recording all the content for
Right.
you.
Well,
Exactly.
yeah, it's like I post like 5 times a day.
Yeah.
You can
Well,
kind
it's
of
like how
put together
Andrew
what I'm
Tate,
doing.
like made it so that they could arrest him by posting a video trying to get back at Greta Thunberg.
Well, I remember before Andrew Tate really even started to go viral, I was like looking at his website and he straight up had a paragraph on his website that was like, I trick women into doing sex work for me. And it's like, oh, well, you just admitted to a crime.
yeah.
Just fully will just say
they're
it on
out
his
here just
public
confessing.
front-facing
They're out
website.
here just with full confession.
But I think it's because a lot of criminals don't think that what they're doing should be illegal.
They think it's a life
like
hack.
they literally think it's a life hack. Like they don't understand. Like, oh, no one else is doing this. They're like, why is no one else doing this? It's like because it's illegal.
Yeah, because of the law.
who was
because of
that
the
guy that
frickin'
was
law.
like? I think it was like one of those like business grind set YouTube channels, and he was like, "So what you want to do is like make fake businesses and and then get the tax whatever, just like
Do a tax scam. He's like,
basically-
you should do this tax.
oh, do this
scam.
tax," and then people are like, "Bro, this is
That's
Yeah.
a tax
fraud."
scam. Yeah.
Well, so many of those like conferences when they post conference footage, it's like some little kid being like, "What can I do to become successful?" And then some like scammer is like, "So I want you to write this down: white collar crime."
They act like it's a life hack, and everyone should. And they're like, "Why has nobody else figured this out yet?"
Yeah.
Yeah, they think it's like a loophole, and it's like
Yes.
you're gonna get 50 years in
Yeah,
a federal
they're like,
penitentiary
you don't
for
want to
that.
put money into the bank. You let other people put money into the bank, and then you go into the bank with a gun and a ski mask and take that money out.
Like no one wants to put on a ski mask anymore.
No one wants to put on a ski
and that's
mask
why you're all
anymore.
behind.
Dana and I were looking at prefix menus and we had a reservation. And then we kind of just realized like we want to like make more of a day of it instead of just like having a nice dinner. We want to make a day of it.
Well, also the prefix place we were gonna go was like what $250 a person or something like that.
Yeah, it was
like
$250
just
a
something
person, not counting
absurd.
drinks. And
Not
I'm like,
counting
all right.
drinks. And also we like this one restaurant that we were gonna go to because they have this one menu item, and we realized that wasn't even on
The
the
menu item,
prefix.
get this, the menu item, it's
Damn.
pan drippings.
Oh, it's so
it's a play on
good.
like chef snack where they would just take loaves of bread and like dip it into the
Oh, I
drippings
saw
of the pan.
the meat pan, yeah.
Republique's,
That was
um,
Republique.
Yeah, their prefix was not it.
Their
I looked
prefix is
at
not,
it
but
as
also
well.
we want the pan dripping.
And it was crazy expensive, and the menu did not look.
And they
good.
didn't have, and it's so good.
Stop
and they didn't
doing
even have
prefix
it.
if it's not going to be good.
Yeah.
Okay,
So that's
if
what
you're
we're
gonna
gonna
prefix,
do.
make it your greatest hits.
And then we were like, let's just do something actually fun. Well, to your mom's point, it's like there's so much expectation of like, well, obviously you got to go to the nice dinner or whatever. And it's like, well, is that obvious, or do we just want to have
Right.
like a really fun day? So we wound up going to Universal, and then I bought us like 2 annual passes for Universal Studios, and we had like our Valentine's Day, like just going around Universal Studios, eating treats and riding rides.
And it was really fun. And for the price of, for the exact price of doing a prefix menu at Republique, we can like go to Universal Studios for a freaking year.
And their lines were so short.
It was so fun. And there were just like other.
Because no one has the courage to admit that they'd rather ride the Jurassic Park ride than, eat the prefix menu at Republique.
And we loved it too because all the couples who were at Universal Studios on Valentine's Day were like, so dare I say, like autism coded. Like just like
Yeah.
people who like love.
It is like when you walk
Harry
in when you walk into
Potter.
Harry Potter world on Valentine's Day,
Like
like
matching-
you feel it in the air.
Yeah,
You
you're,
feel
you're
it
like,
there.
you're like, oh,
And
there's-
this is complimentary.
Yeah, this is compliment. Also, we're part of this.
Yes,
Yeah, we're
obviously.
part of
like,
the
we're,
levels.
we're the freaks who are there, like having a good time, nerding out over our favorite media. But there were a lot of couples in matching Harry Potter robes.
Well, we rode Ride of the Hippogriff. Wait time was only like 10 minutes. Are you
Flight
kidding
of
me?
the Hippogriff.
Flight of the Hippogriff.
yeah,
All right.
and we rode
Fuck.
Buckbeak.
All right, we got to.
We rode
We rode
Buckbeak.
Buckbeak. And literally on Valentine's Day, they let you fuck Buckbeak. If you go on
Yeah.
Valentine's Day, you get to fuck the hippogriff.
Life hack.
Well, I was saying I know a couple who
And then Hagrid runs out when you're fucking the hippogriff, and he goes, "What are you doing?"
you can't say it.
Buckbeak.
You can't say it like Hagrid. It's Hagrid.
Okay, but all right, this is another thing. I read the Harry Potter books, and I always pronounced it Hagrid and
Why?
Hermione because I'm reading them by myself, and it's in my head. And by the time I got to the movies and I found out Hagrid and Hermione are pronounced Hagrid and Hermione, it's too late. I've already said it so many times in my head.
You need to relearn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Period.
Well,
I
that
pronounce
reminds me.
Ron Weasley.
Ron
No.
Weasley.
Ron
Ron
Weasley. Weasley. Why are they acting like Ron's lame?
Ari Piotr.
Ari Piotr.
Should we do the TikTok viral sound that
Whoa.
Jimmy Fallon, Amy Poehler, and Tina Fey did?
Dude, that would take so
What?
much effort.
That's like the first. It's like the Ron doing the chess thing.
Oh yeah.
I've seen that audio.
Yeah. But that's a good like threesome thing. But Robert and I actually, while we were in line at Universal Studios,
good threesome thing.
we were
Yeah.
brainstorming like iconic media threesomes that we could dress
We
up
gotta
as
maybe
for young
change the
old.
word threesome. I think we have to do a little
sorry.
adjustment. We gotta do like
Sorry,
Three
group.
thing. Still
Yeah, we're
sorry.
brainstorming
I was
a
like,
good
I thought-
three ways.
I thought that was gonna help. But
No,
it
we
didn't
just meant
do
like
anything.
because I mean I don't know. This is a peek behind the curtain like promo. It's like I think like Canceled has such fun photo shoots.
Yeah.
For like the Canceled pod, like it might be fun to like do like cool photo shoots where it's like we're iconic trios from media. How hard was the word trio by the way?
No,
Come
you're
on.
right. You're right.
How hard
You're
was
right.
that?
I don't know.
Where like we were
That's very boomer of me.
so we were thinking we could do like a photo
Season
shoot where
thing.
like
Okay, so here are some of our ideas,
Our
and
photo
you guys
shoots.
maybe you can vote on what you like.
and give us suggestions
And
like
give
what
us
would be fun
suggestions.
trios.
that using threesome like that is like when boomers say hook up.
I
when
know.
They
I
mean
just
hang
said it was very
out.
boomer.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
it's
real
just like
quick
that.
on
Yeah.
that. It's like my grandma would always say this to me where when she was just saying like, do you like this? She would say, does that turn you on? So she would be like,
really
we'd be picking
bad.
out a place to eat and she'd be like, all right, what about Mexican food? Does that turn you on? And I just go like, no.
That is really bad.
I would like to eat it, but it does not turn me on,
Are you
Grandma.
rock hard at the thought of
Yeah.
a quesadilla?
Yeah, and then she's like, what about
grandson?
pizza? Does that stiffen your cock? I'm like, what?
You're like, Grandma, I don't think you know what that means. She's like, oh, I know what it means.
It's like, are you coming your pants?
Are you coming your pants over pizza? Or this podcast is kind of going pervert mode today.
Well, Mom started it.
Yeah.
We kind of were doing pretty heavy about the PGF file.
Sorry
I
to
guess.
work blue, you guys.
We're
Sorry
working
to
pretty
work
blue.
But like, okay, here's my thing. We weren't being perverts. My teacher had a crush on a
No,
child.
we were
the
further
teacher does not
exposing
have a
her.
crush on the child. But anyway, so
Okay,
going back,
This will be titled the
we-
NSFW.
we were brainstorming like what are like really cool, like fun, funny, like photo shoots of like iconic trios in media that we could like recreate.
Okay, so
Okay,
here are
yeah,
some
what
ideas that we came up
trios?
with online. Okay.
So Ron, Harry, Hermione, is that?
No, so we had for Harry Potter, we actually have Harry, Ron, and Snape, and Robert was thinking that image where we're
Ron and Snape.
we're Ron and Harry,
And I'm Snape.
No,
and
I'm
he's
Snape.
Oh,
It's like remember
we're
when Harry and
Harry.
Ron were like at the table
Yeah.
and they're like talking to each other and Snape, because I think it's funny if like the recurring bit of these, it's like it's not like actual trios, it's like two and then like the odd person out. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, like we wouldn't do like Chandler, Monica, Rachel. We do like
Well, we have Monica, Rachel, and Gunther.
and Gunther. You know what I mean?
So we do Monica and Rachel.
So
and
I would
you
always
do
be like a
Gunther.
weird
funny.
lame-o who's just kind of around in the
Okay, but
background.
who are we actually from Harry Potter? Like, you're clearly Malfoy. We could be Crabbe
Obviously.
and Goyle.
We can be Crab Goyle
Yeah,
and
but that
Malfoy.
would
But
kind
that
of
would also-
cast you as like my flunkies,
that would
and that's
also
not the
imply that you're in
dynamic.
charge.
Well,
Well, that
but you
would be
are-
Big Bobby's podcast.
That'd be Big Bobby.
Before we started recording today, Robert said that this is Big Bobby's
And the
podcast.
other one.
I was
and
joking.
Big Bobby and the other one.
I was like, time to
which is our
record
new
Big
name.
Bobby and the other
Yeah.
ones.
Okay, but if you're if like, you are Malfoy though.
Yeah.
But who are? I guess we're both Cho Chang.
That's so racist to yourself.
Jesus
I'm
Christ.
Harry.
Stand up.
I literally am so
Stand
fucking.
the
I'm
fuck
so
up.
chosen, and right now I have a zit on my forehead.
Yeah.
Which is kind of lightning coded.
Dude, that's so
Yeah.
real. Zit on forehead is lightning star.
yeah, like when
Yeah.
when you have a zit on your forehead, you're giving Harry Potter.
I guess you're Hermione because you're an annoying know-it-all.
Thank you.
In class,
Well, you could be.
and you're
Thank
always
you.
raising your hand and nobody's calling
Eve
on
could
you.
be
Identified with our
Eve
Hermione
could be
and
a
Ezra.
Luna Lovegood type.
Okay, I could be
Yes.
Luna. You
I mean,
could
I
be
think I'm
Hermione.
voting Myrtle.
Okay, T.
Yeah, but now we're so far away. It's like
Yeah,
I'm
well,
like
now
Filch.
I'm-
I'm Filch. You're moaning Myrtle. You're Luna Lovegood.
Right.
Three characters who were never on screen at the same
Actually,
time.
Rita Skeeter.
Dude, okay, you're Rita Skeeter.
so Rita.
You're Malfoy, obviously.
Yeah.
But then this doesn't work for a photo shoot.
Yeah.
No, but I'm just saying it. I'm just
And
saying
who we actually are?
hypothetically. I'm saying hypothetically.
Yeah.
Okay, the one I like best for the photo
Yeah.
shoot is, did you already say this? Miley Cyrus, Lily,
Yeah.
and Billy Ray Cyrus.
Yeah, so we could be Miley and Lily, and he could be Billy Ray.
Billy
Am I
Ray.
Miley and you're Lily?
Yeah.
Okay, I
And
love
I'm
that.
Billy Ray
Yeah.
in the background with my long bleached hair and sunglasses.
Right. I love that
Which I
one.
think would be
It's a good
visually
one.
iconic. And then we're thinking Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein, and then Robert could be Igor. So
I'm not really familiar.
Well, you're familiar with the image, mad scientist, Frankenstein, creating Frankenstein's monster, and then I'm the hunchback butler.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't try to have a moment. You're not Jim. Don't try to have a moment with the camera like
Jim.
he's trying to be Jim.
Wait, who are we in the office?
Well, that's also a good
I'd
one.
be Michael.
Yeah, you are Michael.
You are Michael.
And then you could be Jan. We are Michael and Jan.
Okay. Well, I mean, at that point with The Office, though, it's almost like Eve's Jim. You're Michael and I'm Dwight. But now we're getting in a genuine. I wanted to kind of each one to kind of have like something funny about it. I don't want to just be
Right.
straight up. We're doing cosplay. I want to do like fun, kind of funny photo shoots.
Right.
Yeah.
So if anyone has any suggestions, young alternators, let us know. I think a lot of these like Eve hasn't seen Game of Thrones, so I don't think that's funny to her.
No, yeah. But then what about like Lorelai, Rory, Luke? That's kind of an obvious one.
Yeah, I also feel like that's not that fun.
It's not that funny. I mean, the thing, the
Yeah.
angle to me that's really key is like I'd want it to actually be like funny.
I do think Mad Scientist, Frankenstein, and Igor the Hunchback is a visually
the suggestion
funny
that
thing.
literally pissed
That
Eve
Eve
off
didn't like that,
so
though.
much.
Do
When we
you
said
have
it.
any-
I'm like, who the fuck's Igor?
The little hunchback.
Well, I know
butler.
that now, but like that's just been introduced to me
I feel
right
like
now.
Even if you don't know Frankenstein, you know like Igor,
no,
like the servant.
I don't. I'm telling you right
You
now,
know
I
Igor.
don't know who Igor is.
Dude, right now you're denying it so much. I'm like, I bet you have like an Igor fan
Shrine.
account and
Well, we
shrine
could
you don't want us to know
also
about.
Anna and Hans.
He hates that.
Yeah.
Also
I just feel
Anna
like
and
nobody
Olaf.
actually even fucks with Frozen like that.
All right.
I'm joking, of
We can't
course.
do this again.
Obviously we can't do this again. But you know, that would be a fun one. That would be actually a really good one.
Yeah.
You're Anna, Elsa, Hans.
Yeah, Anna, Elsa, Hans is fun.
Yeah.
Or Anna, Elsa, Olaf.
Olaf
You
is
could
pretty
do
good.
the snowman.
Also, Olaf's good.
The
Yeah.
Olaf is a fun one.
Yeah,
See, that's really
that's
fun.
fun.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I think Miley Cyrus, Billy Ray, Lily. I think
that's a
Olaf,
fun one.
Elsa.
So if you
I
have
do
any
think
ideas,
Igor-
young oldenators, please let us know.
Because we want to do like a whole little production of it.
Yeah.
We want it to be really fun and
It'd
funny.
be fun.
Okay, sidebar, circling back. We were in the first ride we rode yesterday at Universal was the Jurassic Park ride. Good ride. But we're in the same row as like a dad and his kids. And the kid, like the little boy sitting next to me, was constantly trying to climb out of the ride. Like he's like
Bruh.
struggling to climb out. And like in my head, I'm like, dude, if this was real Jurassic Park, you'd be a goner.
That's real as fuck.
If this was real Jurassic Park, you'd be dead for real. You might die on this ride. I don't know, but I'm like,
and there's not even dinosaurs.
and of course, the dad, in typical dad fashion, is just pretending that his son isn't like on the verge of a tragedy. Like he's
Dads are-
literally just like,
Well, because he's like, if it happened, he'd be like, oh
No.
no.
well, that leads us to what we're talking about.
I like-
Parents, like a proud.
real quick.
What?
I just like real quick. I just like lean across. I'm like, hey, I'm sorry. Could you hit him? I'm so sorry. Real quick. Could you medicate and then hit him? Thank you so much.
We don't know, like, their conversation before the ride could have been him being like, oh, and son, make sure you test out the ride safety. You know,
They
we're
like it when
trying
you do
to get
that.
out.
This is one of those rides where they like it when you try to get out as hard as
For all
possible.
we know, like, he was sabotaged.
Yeah, but going back to what you were saying, I
Yeah.
also going back to Matt and Abby. There was a podcast clip where Matt is talking about. It really is just Matt. Abby's kind of not into it, but he's talking about how when they had a child, it ruined his life because he realized that he had all these big dreams and goals, and he couldn't do any of them because the child's here. And of course, this is done. They filmed this and put it out there, and you can just see the girl's face, and she's just looking at him like, what is going on? And he's saying it like it's a funny anecdote. He's saying it like it's the Jurassic Park story. He's like, yeah, so when I looked at our baby, I literally was just like, I hate everything about this.
Also, I'm like, if you really had that deep of hopes and dreams, like, you would have known about them by now.
Also, plenty of people achieve their goals
No,
with
I know.
children. I will
Yeah.
say that. I do think we have actually overcorrected on the internet, where I think we've actually gotten enough content about how much it actually sucks to be a parent.
Well, yeah, I mean, I saw
So much of it is
there was
there.
like a crazy viral video from like maybe a week ago of this girl being like, motherhood ruined my life. And then there's the whole, of course, echo chamber of like, oh my God, I'm so glad people are saying it. Like, it sucks to be a mom. I actually hate my kid. Can we normalize hating your fucking kid? Like,
normalize hating
there's
your
been
fucking
such a
kid?
pendulum swing of like, oh my God, motherhood is the most beautiful thing in the world too. Like, can we all just admit that we all think that 18th trimester abortion should be legal? And if I want to shoot my 6-year-old, I can.
Well, so
Like,
much of it is like
that's
I've seen so many, and it's always under the guise of like this is very evolved, and it's like
Yeah.
as mothers we're trained never to complain and never to acknowledge that anything's wrong, and it's like I hear moms complain all the time, and they should. They should. They're
and you're allowed to complain.
My
but
mom just said I was hella
Yeah.
boring.
Yeah.
My mom used to do this bit to me where every day on my birthday, she would walk up to me, she would put both hands on the sides of my skull, and she would go, Ouch. The implication being that
your big head.
I hurt her vagina when she gave birth to me. That's the.
You have a big wide head.
I mean, but that's the thing. It's like
she was walking around.
I believe her. She has every right to do that. But then don't pretend you're suffering in silence over here.
Yeah, you're not being very silent.
You're not Betty Draper. You're hosting a podcast about how much your toddler is ruining everything.
She's walking around with an ice pack on her. Okay. On her birthday. All right. Pretty funny.
You're about to say on her vagina.
Vagina.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then I was like, that's not my mom. So it's not for me to say, but yeah, no, it's just interesting because I'm like, definitely it's like, it's good to give a voice to things that contradict what we've heard as societal precedent. But at the same time, I think, sometimes we've given enough of a voice to like, we get it. Parenting has its ups and its downs.
Since going viral on the internet became a thing, I will say we've gotten more content about how much being a parent fucking sucks and blows and these kids are ruining everything than we have about how like, oh no, I love my kids. This is great.
But I also think for every person who's on the internet going viral saying they hate their kids, there's like the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of parents who are happily at home with their kid, not making viral content.
But then everyone on the podcast mic is like, moms, can we just like tell the truth? Which is that for the first 2 weeks after our baby is born, we daydreamed about holding its head under the bathwater. Moms, sound off in the comments. And then everyone in the comments is like, I've literally never stopped dreaming about murdering my kid.
Well, famously, Mom said that she was very concerned about Dana's safety because she was worried that if something happened to her, people would think that she killed her.
Yeah. But again, I think postpartum depression is real, and I think people should talk about it. Like, we need to like give a voice to people who are suffering with those issues.
Well, again, I'm not trying to say that being a parent hasn't, like, there aren't real challenges about being a parent and you shouldn't talk about them freely. To me, it's just specifically the pretending that this discussion hasn't been ongoing.
Been had. Right. Yeah.
I will say also in the I think it's Matt and Abby, there's so many couples channels I can't differentiate, but in their podcast where they're talking about how their son ruined their life, they're both on the podcast and I'm like, hey, where is your kid? Where's your kid now while you're recording this podcast?
Yeah.
They're like,
also, isn't that whole thing like being traditional or whatever?
I think so.
But they're like, the parents should be, we need American families again. Meanwhile, they're on the mic.
Also, I'm sure their baby isn't thrilled about like the baby's hungry and crying and then their mommy and daddy are actually downstairs recording content.
Exactly.
About how much they hate them.
It's pretty traumatic to think about.
Yeah. I mean, people say this all the time, but it is like the first generation where like you'll grow up and you'll be able to see your parents' content about you.
Bruh.
Yeah.
Well, this is also true also. And speaking of like how much there actually is just so much negativity in general, it is like, again, I'll see 10 TikToks about how being a parent sucks, but then they played one of the Philadelphia Eagles players who won the Super Bowl. There is a voicemail that his like 8-year-old daughter left for him the night before the game. And it's just her being like, Daddy, I love you so much, and I hope you win. I know you will, because you work really hard for us, but even if you don't, I'll still love you. And imagine if he like pressed pause on that voicemail. I was like, okay, having this kid ruined my life.
He's like, this really put a damper on my hopes.
Also, having a kid didn't seem to prevent him from winning the Super Bowl. So what goals do you have?
But that's also it. I think like there's some people who will use any obstacle in their life as an excuse.
Yeah,
and it's like having kids just gives them new people in their lives to blame.
Also, I've seen more content from this Matt guy post-child than I've ever seen before in my life.
Well, I think about that all the time where a lot of people, I'm like, Kris Jenner was a nobody before her kids. That's the real truth. A lot of times making kids is what makes your dreams possible.
Louis C.K. was like an unsuccessful comedian. He blew up. Actually, he was probably like the first one who did the whole like, my daughters are bad.
Right, but he also talks about how having kids is what motivated him to be successful.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times I'm like, people don't actually have, a lot of creative people specifically, don't like have a lot of material desires oftentimes. So it's like in order for them to take it to the next level with their art and their output, they need to have
a motivator.
Kids to motivate them
and
to
make them
chase.
Interesting.
Exactly.
And like that was literally what Louis was most famous for, was like kind of having those jokes about his kids, and then he became famous for other stuff. But you know,
his daughters actually, Louis C.K.'s daughters are the ones who told him to flash women. They gave him that inspiration.
They're like, Dad, this will put you right in the eye of the hurricane of the zeitgeist.
Kids know. Well, again, like there's so many comedians like Tom Segura, like Jim Gaffigan. I'm like, all their best material is about
Nate Bargatze.
Their kids. Does Nate Bargatze have kids?
Yeah, he talks about his kids in this thing.
I've actually never seen any clips of him talk about
John
his kids.
Mulaney, like having kids made the internet love him.
So true.
Actually, no, of course I'm being sarcastic. For some reason, that's the one comedian where he had children and the internet got so mad.
They didn't like it. Well, because also I think they viewed him as like him and his ex-wife as a child-free romance story.
Yeah, as an asexual romance.
I think they projected a lot into that.
Yeah, well, obviously, I think so.
Yeah. Anyway, any topics?
Gonna
We
be
need
different.
the BFF paper sheets.
Oh my god, I famously hate the BFF paper sheets where it's like it's just a whole lot of silence and them rustling the papers and then being like,
Meanwhile, we don't even have paper. I was gonna do a bit where I grab the nearest paper. It's like,
but we don't have
we're
any
so
papers.
far away from paper.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We were talking about Dubai the other day and how like we would never go to Dubai. The BFFs went to Dubai,
Well,
and it was for like some like
Dubai loves to fly out
international
celebrities
United
to make it
Nations
seem
thing.
like going to Dubai rips
No, but it
and
was
it's cool.
for some like political thing.
Because I think they're all paid. I think they're all paid to do that, to make it seem like Dubai's cool. And then if you go like the 12th news story down is like American tourist arrested in Dubai
Yeah.
for making eye contact with a city councilman. Will serve
Right.
40 years.
We'll
Like,
serve
what?
40 years. Well, there was that one guy who was like working in Dubai and like quit his job and like got arrested for that or
He
something.
wrote a bad Yelp
Yeah,
review.
oh.
He was working at a dentist office and then he quit. And then he wrote a bad Yelp review for the dentist office he quit. Proceeds to get arrested. And he was looking at like 15 years in jail.
Yeah.
And I think he got, I think he managed to come back to America, or it might have been Ireland or something.
He was being detained for like 6 months and then he did get out.
But when he was
And
being
got to go
detained,
home.
he was facing a potential sentence
no, it was
of
crazy.
like a long time.
Yeah, I'm just like, you don't want to be in a country where you don't really like know the deal.
With what sends you to prison for a decade plus.
Yes, dude.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, Dubai is terrifying, and it's fascinating that they're looking to BFFs to be their cultural political ambassadors.
Well, I was saying with
That
you,
being said, like if you want to fly us out,
Yeah.
I don't want to.
No, I'm. Dana.
Sorry, I'm saying.
You think
Dana's
everything's
like,
real?
no, they're gonna fly us out.
I'm like, we're gonna have to do ads for DraftKings,
That
and we're
being
gonna have to go to
said,
Dubai.
if the platform wants to sponsor us,
oh, dude.
I will never go to the platform.
They actually, BFFs went to the platform the other day.
Yeah.
They were making content on the platform.
Well, it's like,
they
you
were
know how-
rustling their papers, and then they suddenly had to put them down when the food level came to them.
Right.
It does seem like the Middle East is coming for us being like the U.S. though. For
Like,
real.
culturally?
Yeah.
Well, there's
like
parts of the Middle East that are beautiful. I don't want it to seem like we're being like whatever, but
no,
I'm like,
I think the Middle East seems beautiful. Beautiful. It's
isn't it
awesome
interesting
there,
that I said
but
the Middle East was beautiful as if it was a real thing I believed because it is,
It's a good-
and then Dana acted like she was
beautiful.
lying.
No, I'm not like saying anything. There's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying like it just seems like they're coming for us culturally. That's all.
okay.
All right. Well,
Like they bought the PGA.
Well, it is like one of like that was Saudi Arabia. They bought the PGA. First off, they
Yeah.
bribed a bunch of PGA people to take big money to come play in the Saudi Arabian Golf League. And then a bunch of golfers were like, we'll never take Saudi Arabian money. We're staying in the PGA. And then Saudi Arabia bought the PGA.
And then now they're some of the biggest film financiers in America.
That's also true. I do in fact know that.
So I'm like, I think they're coming for us culturally, value neutral. Value neutral.
Value neutral.
Again, I would assume it was value neutral if you didn't
Value
then like
neutral.
suddenly go value neutral. It's beautiful. But this was something. I mean, I think it was like the president of Iran or something. I forget who said it, but someone said like you couldn't even assassinate any heroes, any American heroes, because all American heroes are like fake and like made up cartoons. He's like, what are you gonna do to like take a hit at American culture? Assassinate Mickey Mouse? Kill SpongeBob?
It's so
And it is
real.
interesting that all our heroes are cartoons.
They're
Yeah.
immortal.
Yeah, which I don't know if you heard this because we might be breaking news. There was a successful terrorist plot. They killed Sam and Dean in Supernatural. Not the actors. The actors are fine. Specifically, the fictional characters are dead.
Bruh.
Brr.
I mean, I guess in theory it is canon that they do die at the end of the show, but I would like to believe that the last episode is not real because it's so stupid. Like they made it through all that and then Dean dies via Rusty Nail.
Dean lives on in Eve's head.
Teen lives
Yeah.
on in Eve's head. It's always funny what Eve finds boring versus what Eve finds interesting.
I mean, I'm not alone with that. Like, that's like everyone in the Supernatural fandom is like, what the fuck was that ending?
My main thing when it comes to travel is like I just don't want to go anywhere where I could get arrested for no reason. Like remember that guy Otto Warmbier? He was that guy who was staying in North Korea and he like took something from his hotel room. He like took
the
something.
flag.
It was like a flag or something.
Yeah.
He took it and then he ends up getting like put in like a work camp. First, they make him record a tearful apology.
Yeah.
And then they put him in a work camp until he's brain dead and then send his body back.
Dude, I hate
I don't want
the
that to be me.
consolidation of the words work and camp because camp is something fun
It
and
reminds
like
you of Foxtrot.
Yeah.
well,
they sent Otto Warmbier to Foxtrot Farms.
Oh, and that's where he went.
Yeah.
Got it.
but I'm just like, dude, work camp that always has like really triggered me.
Yeah, because it reminds you of your horse camp days.
You had bad times at camp and you famously hate to work. I mean, those are the
You
two.
went to a work camp, and
Yeah.
that's why you don't like it.
Like, why are we trying to stop saying work camp? Petition to end work camps.
Whoa. Dana coming out hard against North Korean work camps.
Yeah.
What if that does
I think
it?
that's
I've
bad.
been rewatching old like commentary YouTube videos, and Danny reviewed Princess Protection Program. And when Demi Lovato, the princess, is being taken from her country, and she's being told like the dictator's taken over your country, is gonna try and arrest you and your mother and maybe send you to a work. And Danny's like, this is really dark.
The stakes are so high.
Like compared to like High School Musical or something, these stakes are crazy.
There's also a point in Princess Protection Program where she's getting crowned and a bad guy launches a sword at her
Right.
and it goes like through the crown. And I'm like, so there's like, he was trying to throw a sword through the head of our Disney Channel original movie lead. Speaking of which,
What?
this isn't Disney Channel original movies, but it's a hip and a scop, skip and a hop,
Skip and a jump, skip and a hop.
We
Uglies?
watched The Uglies
Oh my
last
gosh.
night,
I should
bring this
starring
up.
Joey King.
I mean, Joey King is literally the actress of our generation.
We're
really
genuine
is.
fans. Let me be clear. We genuinely like Joey
Julia
King.
Roberts.
Like-
She's Gen Z Julia Roberts.
She's literally iconic. The Kissing Booth trilogy is some of my favorite movies ever.
And to be
Ramona
clear,
and Beezus.
we could
Yeah.
talk about the Kissing Booth franchise alone for hours. We're
But
going
Uglies-
to step up from that
Yes.
to Uglies, but
Yeah.
What a
Okay.
banger of a movie.
But
First of all,
they watched it for the first time. I'd seen Uglies before, and I wanted to like mention, like they were like an hour in, and I wanted to say something, and I was like, "Oh, can I say something?" But I don't want to spoil it. And Robert's like, "I think it's fine. I don't think there's any really crazy spoilers you could tell us." And I go, "Okay." Well, when okay, wait. Spoiler.
Spoiler alert.
Well, when Shay becomes pretty, and then he like his face drops, and he goes, "Oh, I didn't know Shay was gonna become pretty." And I was like,
You thought you could
just
handle the
said
spoiler.
that it was fine, and that you weren't gonna be surprised by anything. And he's like, "Well, that's a
The
surprise to
Uglies
me."
is one of those movies where I thought I clicked on it ironically. I thought I was watching it ironically. And then when Eve revealed a spoiler,
He
I
was
suddenly
so
realized
upset.
this was so real for me the whole
You're like,
time.
"Oh, well, I
that's
didn't know that was gonna
good
happen."
and that you care is like someone spoils it for you and you're like pissed actually.
To be clear, all right, The Uglies, if you don't know, it's like the YA movie of all YA movies. It's
It's
a society
so-
where everyone's ugly, except for when you turn 16, you get the surgery to be pretty, and then you get to go live in the nice part of town.
And you have firework parties every night.
Yeah.
I also love that it opens with Joey King and Chase Stokes, who play two of the leads, and they're both uglies at this
They're
point.
hideous.
And to make Chase Stokes like look ugly, they give him like a bad haircut. It looks like a wig. They give him a prosthetic nose, and to make Joey King look ugly, they just
Nothing,
let her
they just
ride.
send
They just
her
say, "There you
in."
go."
They let her do Joey.
And that's,
it's
and that's why
amazing.
Joey King is built different because
Yeah.
it is truly like a performance where she's like, "No, I don't need
She's like,
this.
"No, I'm
No
ugly."
ego."
What if she showed up to hair and makeup and she's like, "Okay, I'm ready for my prosthetics," and they're like, "Oh, yeah, I
blah, blah, blah.
don't think you're good. I think we can just send you in."
And then
But what
basically
I really-
they yassify everyone, and then Chase
Yeah.
Stokes gets yassified.
Right.
What you really like learn from that though is that like ugly is a vibe. And like a lot of being ugly is just being told that you're ugly.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like, and ultimately we've realized too, like the actual reason for the surgery is so they can mind control you. It's not
Spoil- this is some
actually
serious
Spoil it. This is some
spoilers right
serious
now.
shit.
pretty.
Someone just threw their laptop against the wall because
Yeah.
they were planning to watch The Uglies later.
But yeah, one of the best movies I've seen in a really
Well,
long
one of
time.
the funniest things, it does a thing all YA movies do where they have crazy sci-fi names for ordinary objects. Like they'll be like, you know, because it's set in like the dystopian future, and they'll be like, they're like walking through a theme park, and they're like, "Yeah, the Rusties built this. The Rusties used to ride around on these tracks."
The
It's like,
Rusties are us.
The Rusties are us, we're the
humans
Rusties.
before the
On these
pretty
track
ugly
carts.
civilization.
on these track carts, they'll see fire and they're like, "Oh yeah, you know it as orange fizz, but they used to call it fire."
Orange toasty.
You know it as hot air.
Hot air.
Or they go out into the woods, but it's not called the woods, it's called the smoke.
yeah,
Smoke.
Go out into the smoke. It's like, "Oh, you mean the
smoke's
woods?"
real.
the tall
The
brown
smoke is
the
real.
tall brown stick zone.
Yeah.
And like the leader of the revolution, the one trying to convince everyone, like, "Oh, you shouldn't get the pretty surgery. Like, you should be yourself." Whatever. It was
He's hot.
revealed. He's hot.
It's like, of course you don't want, you don't care.
about the
Natural
surgery.
born smoke show.
Natural born
smoke
show
show.
twice the smoke.
Yeah.
Well, they should have had like a real ugly like pig man. They should have had me.
So
They should have
real,
had me come
so
out of there like all
real.
sweaty, just like, "You don't need the surgery."
I want to get the surgery.
Yeah.
I think
get
I'm
the
gonna get the
surgery.
surgery. But it's like obviously the hottie is saying it.
Yeah.
But also you can't lead a revolution if you're not hot.
But that's the real take away from the movie
You
actually
can't lead
is
a
that-
revolution if you're not hot.
No, all revolutionary leaders
You
will
literally
be
can't.
Well, it's like,
hot.
have you seen old pictures of Fidel?
Right.
Mother may I?
Was he sexy?
No, he genuinely was.
Yeah.
No, I genuinely wanted to fuck Fidel Castro.
No,
I wanted to fuck Fidel, but actually, he was kind of looked good. Well, they also, to show that her bond with Chase Stokes is so strong, there's a flashback when they're kids, and he cuts his palm. He has a cut on his palm, and Joey King, little girl Joey King, she goes to show that she's his friend. She takes a shard of glass and she intentionally cuts her palm the
So that
exact
they'll be
same
the
way.
same.
And that is such like YA movie logic, as if that wouldn't be the most unhinged thing someone could do to you.
Well, the ultimate pick me thing is to when your crush breaks their arm, you break your arm. Too.
Well, I was saying, like, what if he snapped his femur and she's like, hey, don't worry about it. And she takes a baseball bat.
They're like, now we're the same.
Now we're friends forever.
And it's not a Joey King movie unless she has a part where she's like, wait, stop, it's me. Look at me.
That's
and
right.
She does try to, obviously she gets interrupted.
Chase
but-
Stokes gets yassified and then they turn him evil.
And she's like, it's me, Nose.
It's me. They have nicknames for each other. Squint and Nose.
Right, yeah.
And
Well,
well,
whatever.
those are just their nicknames for each other. Those are like their nicknames.
Because when you're
Yeah.
ugly,
Yeah.
you get a nickname about how ugly you
yeah,
are.
being
Right.
ugly is part of your
and we were
identity.
saying, what if you're like, it's me, Uniboop.
It's me,
Yeah.
asymmetrical titty representation.
it's me, weird knees.
It's me, weird knees is crazy.
Yeah.
It's me, short eyelashes.
What if some guy's like, it's me, secret swastika tattoo. It's me, weird nose.
It's me, big ears.
And then at
It's
this,
me, brown stain in my pants because I don't wipe after I poopy. And they're like, the surgery actually doesn't fix that. You're gonna have to resolve that issue on your own.
But I do love that, like, their pastime.
You guys kind of harmonized on your side. Just like,
but then when one of the characters becomes pretty at the end, she literally looks just like Nikita Dragon.
Yeah.
Again, some of the uglies they introduced, you're like, they look pretty hot. Which I guess is
Right.
part of the message of the movie. No one's actually truly
Yeah.
ugly. But I was like, what would it even look like if that person became pretty? And they made her pretty. I was like, okay.
It's just complete yassification.
It's yassification.
Yes, yassified.
Would you guys get the pretty surgery? Like, would you want it?
Well, I
was
already
saying-
did. You should have seen me before.
Yeah,
No,
same.
I've seen him before.
well, it is like, but I think it's, and you touched on this. I think it's
Yeah.
very foundational that they get the surgery when they're 16.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, I clearly now would not get the surgery, but I don't know. If you caught me on a bad day at 16,
Yeah.
who
I'd
knows,
Be like,
man?
damn, it's time for the surgery.
Well, I literally remember that I got, I split my lip open pole vaulting and I had to get 10 stitches. And I literally, when it was happening, I was freaking out because I was like, my facial symmetry is done. I'll be ugly.
Well, then you were.
I was
were
like
you
Joey-
worried
I
you
was
wouldn't
like
be able to
Joey-
be a quarterback? Would you? And you weren't even good at football.
Bro.
Well,
Quarterbacks
that
were
was
symmetrical.
Similar to your mom, that was
Yeah.
a joke.
Oh,
But that is the
okay.
thing where it's like, they
So
always say that
funny.
quarterbacks in the NFL all have facial symmetry. That's like a thing that everyone notices.
But it's like you can't even play
Well, I was
football.
terrible, but I was jokingly like but I was genuinely freaking out. Like my facial symmetry is gone. I'll be a monster. You can't even see it. You can't even see the
Bro.
scar. But that is the thing they say. Like all quarterbacks are hot. Like it's a trend. They've studied this. Scientists have studied this, and of course it makes sense because like to even have the confidence to be in like 6th grade Pee Wee football to be like, yeah, actually I should be the one who controls the football and is the main character
Right,
of this
you'd
team.
have
You
to,
have.
yeah.
They
Well,
don't let uggos play
The
quarterback.
same
Revolutionaries
to be a revolutionary
are hot.
leader. Revolutionaries, quarterbacks, CEOs.
Yeah.
They say
But everything about the Uglies movie is iconic.
it's so good.
It's so
Well, and
fun.
we realized it's directed by
McG.
McG, who was famously an EP on like the creator of one of the creators of Supernatural, which is East
Which
favorite
is
show, and then also one of the
Slay.
creators of The OC, which is my
Which is
favorite
Slay.
show.
And he also was referencing Christian Bale's rant when he screamed at that cinematographer because the director of that was McG. So he goes, I want him off the fucking set, McG, which was a viral audio I listened to a lot back
and
in the day.
McG was also in a band called Sugar Ray,
Yeah.
which is a 90s band.
And McG is actually in our closet right now. McG,
on
get on out here.
I wish McG was in
Dude, we
our
gotta
closet.
get McG.
We gotta get McG in our closet.
pod. Come
I
on
would.
the pod.
What if he puts us in
McG in our
Uglies
secret
too?
room. I would love to be.
We
That would
only
be
have
great.
3 mics
Pretties.
though, so he's gonna have to snuggle up with one of us, like this. He's like,
Are you offering?
Are you offering to snuggle up with McG?
up with me.
I like how right after I'm like, what if he casts us in the next movie? Eve's like, well, he'd have to snuggle up with one of us.
Wasn't the bed
Like Marilyn Monroe
We've
all of a
already
sudden?
like exhausted.
You could get him
the
to
bed
write you a
space.
new ending to Supernatural. You.
Dude, that'd be lit.
Where this time they both die of even lamer infections.
Got your ass. But yeah, Uglies.
But yeah, where's he
iconic.
gonna go on the bed?
McG?
Yeah.
I'll tell you
He's
where.
gonna have to
I'll
snuggle
tell you where
up.
he'll go right here. and I'm McGee.
And it's face
dude.
mask.
I've done
Dude.
2 McGee reveal bits. The second one didn't work as well as the first. But
You can't do it twice.
yeah.
I was gonna say something else about the Uglies, but I can't remember. Oh, I think when I read the books when I was younger, I was like, "This is lit."
Like you were like, I want the
And I was
surgery.
like-
I want to go to the firework
and
party
also,
and
like,
be pretty.
I was like, "Oh, this sounds fun. Like, why are they trying to like not? Why are they trying to stop? Let him cook."
Yeah.
I said, "Let the pretties cook."
Let the pretties
But
cook.
again,
They might be
so
onto something.
It is so funny because I'm like, at 16, if you told me, Dana, we're gonna make you look like Alex Earl or like a hot blonde girl with like big boobs, I would have been like, yes, please,
Yeah.
please. But at 29, if you told me that, that's a horror movie to me now. Like I'm like, I don't want.
Well,
I want
yeah.
to look like me.
Well, I will say the Uglies is a weird thing though, where they reveal about 3/4 of the way through that part of the pretty surgery is it makes you dumb. It like makes you mind controllable.
Well, it
And
makes
to
you not
me,
feel
That's almost a
anything.
weird element to include because I'm like, I thought the whole lesson of the movie was going to be it's wrong to be insecure about your body to the point where you feel like you need to get the pretty surgery. But it's almost like the movie's like, oh no, the pretty surgery is fine. You should get
Yeah,
that, but just
yeah.
not the mind control version.
Well, also it's like the Revolutionary had. They're just trying to reverse the mind control element. They're
Yeah.
not actually trying to reverse the pretty surgery.
They're like, look, we hate uggos as
Yeah,
much as the next
yeah.
person. I also do like how in this world they have a nickname for everything. Cars are like called scoot boxes, and you know, milk is called white sip. But also,
White
like,
sip.
what are their names for the ugly people and the pretty people? Oh, the uglies and the pretties.
Duh.
No need for names there.
No, I'm so excited for the sequel though. But also, like, reference to last week's episode, if I was in the Uglies universe, I would be the dictator and it would be like the Smellies. And then, well, what's the name for the. So if the Smellies is the Uglies, what's the pretties?
Oh,
Fresh
what's the name?
scents.
Cleanies?
The freshies. I like
The
freshies.
freshies.
I like the
The
freshies
freshies.
and
Right,
the
so I'd be
smellies.
the evil dictator being
Yeah.
like, and they'd be like, you can't make people a freshie against their will. And I'd be like, it's better this way. Society, they must be fresh. And then I could drag King Stinky into the freshie chamber.
But it's
then
just like crazy that you have to live till you're 16 stinky.
Well,
live in
also
the
like because they
stinky
still have
community.
nicknames for each other based on like what their thing is, but it's not appearance based; it's smell based. So instead of like squint and nose, it's called like fart and burp.
Yeah.
Right, or like mildew.
Yeah, mildew, Mr.
B.O.
Mildew,
Mildew
B.O.
Mildew shitty.
Mildew shitty.
Me, shitty.
It's shitty. It's your shitty. Remember? I smell like
it's
shit.
me. Like onions.
Yeah.
Mildew, it's me, onions.
This was how
Mildew, this isn't you.
the Uglies opens its dystopian future or whatever, and whenever they do those, they always have like really like they pick like a random bullet point about our society, and they're like, and that's actually why the whole world ended. Anyway, so for us, what was it? Wasn't it something like
Food, right? Or no?
No.
Well, in Uglies, it's fossil fuels.
Yeah, they're like-
they became
Oh,
overly
yeah.
they
reliant
became
on fossil
over-reliant
fuels.
on fossil fuels. So now the so now
now
the
you
world
have
is
to get
divided between
hot
uglies
surgery.
and pretties. I'm like,
Yeah.
how did we get there?
Yeah.
How
Makes
did our
sense.
over-reliance on
Right.
fossil
Yeah.
fuels get us
Me.
there?
And
And our
what?
fake one, it's like they enjoyed beverages containing high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah.
So now cannibal colonies control the waste. It's like,
Yeah.
whoa, you skipped a lot.
It's like because we liked apple juice.
now we're the
Now we're
uglies.
the Uglies.
I'm like, adds up to me.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, but when I first watched The Uglies with my friend, we were really upset that you only get to see Joey King be a pretty for like 2 seconds at the very end.
They really did yossify her.
They just ossified
because
her.
I was
Pretty good
dying for her to
Yossify
do.
result.
And then she was like, "I'd rather die than get the surgery," and we were like, "No, we just want to see
Also,
her
at one point, they
pretty."
need volunteers for someone who's willing to get the surgery so that they can test the cure on them. And Joey King, she seemed a little eager to volunteer.
She's like, "Fine, I'll do
I'll be
it."
pretty.
It's
fine,
like,
I'll be
girl.
hot as hell, but only for the revolution.
Right.
Yeah. But it's also
And
really
I
funny
guess
because
I'll
like
have my mind uncontrolled too.
when she decides that she doesn't want the surgery is after she makes out with the hot revolutionary
Right.
leader.
Yeah.
And I realized I'm like, no, so much of like wanting to be hot is just like knowing
So
that you can make
hot
out with a
people
cute
like
guy.
you.
Yeah.
And so like once you like know, even if I'm ugly, a cute guy will make out with me.
Then
You're
she's
like,
like,
I
oh,
guess I'll be
whatever, it's
ugly.
fine.
Yeah, it's like it all has to do with the way that you're perceived. It's
Yeah.
like it doesn't really have to do it. Like it's never when people are like, oh, I'm hot for me. It's like that. It can only be so true.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
It also is hilarious how their parents abandoned them in the ugly pretty universe.
Because their parents
Yeah.
are pretties and they give birth to uglies and they drop their ugly kids off at the
Right.
uglies dorm.
And
Yeah.
Because of fossil fuels.
Yeah.
because of fossil
fuels.
And it shows like a flashback of little Tally, and her mom is like, "Look us up when you're pretty, Tally.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you can get gold eyes like mine." Okay, out to the firework party.
Also, again, it's just like so funny that they're not in the dorm where the uglies live till they're 16. There's like no lights. Like they're not allowed to turn the
right,
lights
like it looks like
on.
a prison cell,
Yeah.
and then
Well,
one
they have
is
to make them,
pretty.
that does make sense in world. They have to make them seem as view themselves as ugly as possible.
Right,
So the
so they
light would
really
be wrong.
want
I bet
the
the mirrors
surgery.
probably don't have a good, like, whatever.
Yeah.
They want to make them want to get the surgery. I start sobbing as I describe this.
Remember when I lived back in the ugly cell?
Yeah. Also, one thing, I would not have joined the revolution, and it's only because I have an aversion to camping. Like, to me, I'm like, all right, I get it. I'm with you. Why do we need to be in sleeping bags and tents? It's still the future for us, too. What do you mean? We have a helicopter, but I have to sleep on the ground?
I do think a lot of revolutions and movements could benefit from better vibes.
I think that's true.
You know, better accommodations, etc.
Yeah.
I think also when I was reading the books when I was younger, I didn't like that I was a rusty. Like I'm
You're a
reading
rusty.
it,
You're
I'm a
crusty,
rusty.
dusty, rusty.
And I'm like, I don't want to be a rusty, but like that's who they're talking about.
Well, because also they said it so. When you read Harry Potter, you can pretend that you're a wizard and you're getting your letter in the mail. But the Uglies makes it clear it's like, no, you're a rusty. All the rusties are dead, and you're one of them. Anyway,
Anyway,
Moving on.
I'm like, I'm not a rusty. I'm a pretty. Please.
Eve screaming at her book in her hands that she can really controls her interpretation of in her imagination.
Eve didn't even want to read the books because the girl that she saw reading them wasn't ugly.
There's no way she would remember this.
Also, you'd have to be so crazy to be like, I'm the one that she's talking about.
I'm the one she's talking about, but I saw this one girl. She was like always reading that series and was talking about how great it was, and I was like, well, if she likes it, I can't be reading that shit, because she's a fucking loser. Okay, no, she was actually fine.
Seems like you thought she was a fucking loser.
Anyways, but then I actually did end up reading them, and then they ripped, obviously, and I was like, oh.
And in the movie version, you would have gone back to that girl and reconnected with her, and then you would become best friends. But in the real life version, you're like, that loser was onto something.
Low key.
Low key, yeah.
Low key.
I remember I kind of had the reverse of that, where I want to say 5th grade, I had a crush on a girl, and I remember finding out that she liked the show Heroes. So then I started watching the show Heroes, and then I would just try to I would try to be near her in a group, and I would try to talk about the show Heroes loud to give her an opportunity to dive in. Wouldn't you know it? Never did. I'd be like,
she was pretending to like Heroes for another guy she had a crush on.
And she's like, no. I'm like,
That's
and then
so
anyway,
funny.
Peter Petrelli in Heroes, and nothing.
I just love the idea that no one has a genuine interest. They're all just like pretending for a crush, but it's like a pyramid scheme.
Only one guy has real interest.
Only guy has real
Only one
interest.
guy likes Heroes, and then everyone else is just
pretending.
obviously
There's gonna be a bunch of
like
fakers in his
a girl
wake.
who likes you is now pretending she likes Heroes. You like Heroes for another girl. She's pretending,
I like the idea that you directly asked her about it, and she's like, I've never seen that show.
I'm like, I heard you talking about it yesterday. Like, no, you didn't.
No, never heard of that show.
Well,
I'm
I like
pretty sure it
Heroes.
happened to
Heroes
me.
is for nerds.
I would like always copy crushes' interests. Surprise, surprise.
Brave.
And they would always pretend they didn't know when I would talk about it.
Right. They'd be like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You'd be like, I love eating food and drinking water, and they'd be like, I don't like those.
Yeah.
I never do those things.
Yeah.
So
I put my crushes off of drinking water because they were like, she's drinking water.
I'm not doing
you had the
that.
whole school drinking soda because you said you liked water one day.
Yeah, I'm an anti-influencer.
Yeah.
Have been my whole life.
I thought that when you were saying the Heroes thing that you were going to try and pretend like you had powers in front of her.
No.
So she would be like, oh my God, he's like from Heroes.
And you're like, why didn't that work? Why didn't it work when I tried to have powers?
Okay, what if all right, this is a Heroes deep cut, but one of the guys' deal in Heroes is that if he cuts someone's skull open and eats part of their brain, he gets their powers.
He doesn't eat it, you fucking... Sorry.
Dude.
The way you're like, it's a deep cut, and I'm like, let me correct you on this lore. Also, that's not even a deep cut. That's literally like the main plot
I mean, it's
line.
a deep cut. I mean, this was a show that went like 3 seasons in 2006.
No, like 6 seasons.
No, it was 3
didn't.
seasons.
It was 3. It
There
fell
is
off hard.
there is
Season 1 was a
spin-
big
there's
hit and then fell off.
spin-off that I like that ends kind of like cliffhangery, and
Do
it's
you
like,
see
bro.
how maybe like I was building to a narrative and I had a slight error in the
No,
Heroes
because he
lore?
doesn't. You know, he makes that. There's literally a scene where Hayden Panettiere is like, "Are you gonna eat it?" And he's like scoffs and is like, "I'm not gonna eat it." Like,
But,
Really
but
didn't even
clearly
see
in
that
the world
scene.
of the show, people were under the impression he ate part of the brain. He does.
no, but he.
Doesn't he do something with part of their brain to get their powers?
Yeah, he
Is
uses
that not
it, but he
close
doesn't
enough?
eat it.
Is that not close? Is
no,
that not
but
ballpark?
he's like, that's. He literally goes, "That's disgusting."
But then what does he do with it?
He just he studies it. I don't know.
Now I'm kind of like,
eat it. He
now
doesn't
I'm like,
eat it.
it sounds like he fucking eats
No,
it.
he
It sounds like he was
doesn't.
lying to Hayden Panettiere because he didn't want her to think he was
doesn't
gross.
eat it
Because he had a crush on her.
He just needs to see how it works. His main power, his original power, is that he knows how things work, and so he needs to look inside their brain to see how it works. So then he can. God, you know nothing, bro.
Okay, let's finish your thing about.
Yeah, sorry. Well, anyway, in
Doesn't eat it.
throughout the hero show, it wasn't throughout the hero show. It was only in episodes 3 through 7, the early season arc.
I've seen Heroes like so many times.
She's a hero
I've seen
story.
Heroes several times.
That's one of my special interests.
Is Heroes?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I know the show Heroes.
God.
Okay, go.
So you know how in the show Heroes there's like a bunch of guys who can fly and stuff. There's one character who can fly.
There's actually two, I believe.
Okay, see.
Actually, there's two. You literally just proved my point, dude.
Sorry.
Okay, all right. So,
And
if we're
wait,
doing,
let me just say, Hayden, she dates a guy who can fly, and then later she finds out that her dad, like the guy she doesn't know was her dad, he can fly, and people are like, they say you dream men like your father. Yeah, because he can fly.
yeah,
Okay, sorry.
Freud did say that.
yeah. Freud said if
Freud
your
said
dad
that
can
you
fly,
wanna
you will fuck a flyer.
Yeah, you'll fuck a flyer.
But Freud
No,
wasn't.
there's three. There's three characters who can fly.
Continue.
Okay,
Sorry, can you finish?
Yeah, please.
Let's finish.
Well, technically, this guy who okay, no, never mind. I'm sorry.
You're not sorry. You would do this again and again because you will.
Go on.
Okay, now I'm gonna. All right. This also what sucks about this is like it was just to do a stupid bit, and now I have to go back to the bit. But like, of course, now there's this build up that I didn't even want.
It's my special interest.
You can't have. You have like 14 special interests. You gotta
This is
pick
like
one.
when you brought up Youngblood, having no idea Youngblood is one of my special interests.
Okay, well now we can't. We'll
Okay,
get
we
into
can-
Youngblood in a
yeah,
second.
okay.
But here was my bit. My bit was like, oh, I'm gonna pretend I have powers from Heroes to make this girl who likes Heroes like me. But I mistake it, and instead of pretending I have a cool power like invincible or flying, I'm like, yeah, I can. If I cut someone's brain out of their skull and study it and/or eat it for a while, I get their powers. I'm like, no, she didn't like that.
And she's like, damn, that's
So
so
that
cool.
was where we were going. That was where I wanted to go.
Hey,
from
and
the jump.
I liked it.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it really made me
just
earn it,
took
didn't you?
It was good.
It was a circuitous
good.
path.
It
to
was a
get
very
there.
circuitous
Let's see
path.
what time we're at.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up real quick because Eve mentioned Youngblood, who's a singer.
Yeah,
it's
and
a
he was
family
like,
pod.
he was gonna do a bit where he dunked on Youngblood.
Well, I wasn't gonna do a bit. I was like, hey, do you guys know? I saw like a couple TikToks about Youngblood, and I was like, hey, do you guys know who Youngblood is? And Dana's like, not really. And Eve immediately goes, I am a big Youngblood fan.
I am. I went to his concert and we touched hands. So, what do you think about that?
Well, my whole thing is I saw a bunch of Youngblood TikTok. I like Youngblood also. I do like his singing voice, and his thing is funny. But like his whole thing, that from what I can understand, is respectful, well-behaved punk. That's his
Polite
whole
punk
shtick.
rocker.
Like his whole shtick is like he'll get on stage and he'll be like, I don't give a fuck, man. We're different, man. We're different. Like if we see an old lady walking across the street, we'll help her carry her bags, man.
I love how you had to get into character. You're like 1 second.
Well,
Channeling
but guess what?
Youngblood.
Am I not Youngblood? Am I not Youngblood?
No, that's really accurate.
We don't give a fuck, man. Like if we see someone spill something in public, man, we'll help them clean it the fuck up, man.
We trash the hotel room and then we clean it up again, man.
We trash the hotel room mentally because physically we keep it pristine because cleaning people are people too, man. He's like a respectful punk.
I actually am not familiar with Youngblood.
Yeah, now you
Well,
are.
now you. That's basically.
Now you
I know.
are.
To be honest.
Yeah. I mean, I get it.
That's basically how he is.
I got it.
But his music slaps.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
a song with Halsey because they dated for a little bit.
That makes sense.
But now she's with Avon Hoygia from Victoria.
But yeah, now she's with Beck from.
Whereas young
Victorious.
Oldenators, we're punk for real, you know.
Right.
We
So
don't give a
true.
fuck, man. If someone's having a respectful conversation, we'll make it about poopy, man. Every
will
episode's
make it
gonna
about
be about
poopy.
poopy.
Every episode's about poopy.
if we see an old lady, we'll say she's a slut, man.
We'll say that we were lovers once, man. Man, woman, we don't give a fuck. We were lovers once, man.
We'll say just because you're drunk doesn't mean we're horny, man. Okay, and on that note, good night, young old.
Good night, young old.
Good
We're
night,
not-
young
good night,
old
young
man.
old. We'll see you soon. Young, oh my God.
Turn off the light,
Turn off the light,
man.
man.